$31 billion. Not in a foreign treasury, not in a war zone. Laundered through American title offices, American courthouses, and American trust. 184 arrests across 7 counties in a single morning. A sitting judge in handcuffs before sunrise. And a network so deeply embedded inside the legal system that it did not need guns to control a city. It needed gavels, notary stamps, and patience. This is the story of Operation North Star Veil, and if you think you know how deep it goes, you are not even close. 4:22 a.m., Minneapolis, Minnesota. The temperature sits at 38 degrees. A wet spring cold clings to every surface like a second skin. Streetlights push through low mist, turning the intersections into pale, haloed corridors. Snowmelt trickles along the curb in thin black lines. 2 blocks south, a freight train groans through a crossing, its horn muffled by the fog. The city breathes in its sleep. It does not know what is about to happen. 58 agents from FBI, ICE, Homeland Security Investigations, and IRS Criminal Investigation emerge from unmarked black SUVs parked in staggered formation along a residential block in South Minneapolis. They wear no insignia visible to the naked eye. Body armor sits tight under dark jackets. Tactical radios hiss with controlled breathing and clipped confirmations. Night vision lenses catch the faint green glow of a porch camera mounted above a duplex door. 2 file lines stack at the entrance. A breaching ram is brought forward. 1 strike. The deadbolt splinters inward. An alarm inside shrieks for exactly 2 seconds before an agent finds the panel and kills it. A SHIELD team floods the entryway. 2 cut left into the kitchen. 2 cut right toward the living room. 1 holds the staircase. A canine handler grips the leash tight, holding the dog still until the hallway is cleared and the command is given. Upstairs, a man steps into the corridor wearing a bathrobe. His hands rise. Then they drop toward his waist. A red laser dot appears on his sternum. FBI, search warrant. Hands where we can see them. He freezes. Agents close the distance in 3 steps. He is cuffed. His phone is seized from the nightstand. The screen glows with a missed call from a contact saved under a name that does not belong in a bedroom at 4 in the morning. It reads, Court Admin. The man is not a cartel lieutenant. He is not a street dealer. He is Judge Ibrahim Farah, 46 years old, born in Mogadishu, naturalized citizen, elected to the Hennepin County bench 2 years prior. Publicly celebrated as a pillar of the refugee community. Privately, the keystone of a $31 billion laundering machine that turned Minneapolis into a financial processing center for narcotics money flowing from fentanyl distribution networks stretching across the American Midwest. But this moment, this breach, this arrest, did not begin at 4:22 a.m. It began 18 months earlier with a broken taillight and a dog that sat down. January 18th, the prior year, 9:18 p.m., Lake Street, Minneapolis. The air is 12 degrees, dry and sharp enough to sting the lungs. Traffic crawls over black ice. Officer Derek Hullman rolls his patrol unit behind a gray Toyota Sienna with an expired registration tab and a broken right taillight. He approaches on the passenger side, flashlight held low. The driver keeps both hands on the wheel, then drops them, then raises them again. His eyes jump repeatedly to the rearview mirror. Hullman asks for license and insurance. The driver identifies himself as Abdirahman Warsami, 29. His voice breaks on simple words. The interior of the van smells like new plastic and something chemical underneath it. A masking spray that does not quite mask enough. A canine unit arrives at 9:27 p.m. The dog circles the vehicle twice, then sits at the rear cargo seam. Hullman opens the hatch. The floor flexes under pressure in a way that factory panels do not. Beneath a false plywood layer wrapped in carbon paper and packing tape, agents find $186,400 in bundled 20s and 50s. A second hidden compartment holds 3.2 kilograms of fentanyl powder sealed in vacuum bags. A field reagent test turns blue in seconds. Warsame attempts to explain the cash as construction payroll for a delivery route. His phone buzzes 3 times during the stop. The contact label on the screen reads Court Admin. He refuses consent to search the device. He asks for a lawyer. His pulse is visible in his throat. That traffic stop report lands on federal desks within 36 hours. FBI begins pen register requests on the phone number. IRS, Criminal Investigation, starts currency tracing on the bundled cash. HSI runs cross-border remittance checks tied to the driver's known associates. Analysts pull traffic camera footage and find the same gray van appearing near 3 separate title companies in 11 days. Call detail records reveal a repeating number that matches a direct line inside a Minneapolis courthouse. This is no longer a drug interdiction. It is the first thread pulled from something vast, institutional, and deliberately hidden inside the machinery of American law. The cash bundles carry paper bands from 2 separate banks. Both banks service the same judge's chamber's operating account. That single fact changes everything. Within the first week, subpoenas go out in waves. Bank records, escrow ledgers, wire transfer logs, and incorporation filings arrive in crates and encrypted files. The money moves fast, but it leaves fingerprints everywhere it touches. A constellation of shell companies emerges with names designed to sound invisible. North River Holdings, LLC, registered in Delaware. Cedar Lantern Consulting, LLC, registered in Nevada. Lakeview Community Development Incorporated, registered in Minnesota. Each lists a registered agent. Each uses a mailing address tied to a strip mall storefront that has never conducted visible business. In 22 months, Cedar Lantern alone processes $6.3 million with no payroll, no inventory, and no tax filings consistent with any consulting activity. Then the figures escalate. The task force maps $412 million cycling through 5 escrow accounts, split into structured wire transfers just under $10,000 to avoid reporting thresholds, then recombined at closing tables as if they were legitimate real estate transactions. Offshore exposure surfaces next. An account in the Cayman Islands receives $38.4 million in tranches labeled equipment lease payments. A Dubai-based exchange processes $91.7 million marked as import settlement. A Hong Kong trust absorbs $57.2 million routed through correspondent banks that touch Minneapolis servers for less than 11 minutes per transfer before vanishing into layered accounts across 3 continents. The money is not just being hidden, it is being transformed. Dirty cash enters as structured deposits. Shell companies wire it into escrow. Properties are purchased, refinanced immediately, then sold to another shell entity at inflated value. Offshore trusts receive the profit layer. The cycle repeats with mechanical discipline, month after month, for 6 years. For 8 weeks, agents conduct physical surveillance on key nodes. Unmarked vehicles rotate positions every 30 minutes. Cameras mounted on utility poles watch 2 title offices and a mixed-use building near University Avenue. Tracking devices, authorized by warrant, go on 3 vehicles. Agents observe meetings at 2:10 a.m. and 4:05 a.m. They watch a man named Khaled Nouar, 38, making deliveries in a white cargo van, stopping at apartment complexes for less than 5 minutes each, never carrying a package large enough to justify the trip. They observe a courthouse clerk exiting a parking garage with a canvas bag and driving directly to a private mailbox store, then to a jewelry district storefront that reports 0 retail sales for the quarter. The web visualization grows across an entire wall inside the task force room. Family connections intersect with corporate fronts. One company, East Africa Textiles Import LLC, claims to ship fabric through the port of Newark. Customs records show no shipments have ever arrived. Another entity, Prairie Sunrise Logistics, holds contracts with legitimate shippers. GPS tracking on its semi-trucks reveals 12-minute detours to unmarked storage units before the vehicles return to their authorized routes as if nothing happened. Then, the corruption layer fractures wide open. Seized files contain a scanned memo from the judge's chambers administrator listing case numbers, dismissal dates, and a single word beside each entry: paid. Case dismissals cluster around one courtroom. Motions that should have been denied are granted in minutes. The man sworn to uphold the law is not just compromised, he is operational infrastructure. He does not move product, he ensures outcomes. He neutralizes civil forfeiture attempts. He dismisses charges against distributors. He provides the network with something no amount of cash can buy on the street: legitimacy. This is not corruption. This is command-level collusion designed from the inside out. April 9th, FBI Strategic Operations Command Center, Minneapolis, St. Paul, 3:58 a.m. Wall-mounted displays show digital maps with red markers pulsing across 7 counties. A synchronized timeline runs in white text along the bottom. Arrest teams, entry teams, evidence response units, prisoner transport, and media staging positions are all linked. 412 personnel from FBI, ICE, HSI, IRS, Criminal Investigation, and local SWAT partners stand ready. Breaching tools are checked. Body cameras are activated. Evidence bags are pre-labeled with location codes. The execution order drops. At 4:22 a.m., tactical teams launch simultaneously across 19 locations. At 4:32 a.m., the battering ram strikes the St. Paul residence at 3120 Summit Avenue. Wood fractures inward. The judge is taken in his hallway. Simultaneously, agents breach the Kasota Avenue warehouse and find a currency counting line still warm, a heat sealer mid-cycle, and a man who bolts for the rear exit before a canine pins him at the threshold. Under a hydraulic platform beneath the warehouse floor, agents recover $4.7 million in bundled cash and 6 encrypted hard drives. At the Bloomington office suite, Nadia Osman, 34, the title officer who executed dozens of fraudulent closings, tries to flush documents down a bathroom sink. An agent grabs the stack. The top page is a closing schedule for 8 properties with wire routing instructions. 19 pre-signed cashier's checks totaling $1.3 million sit in a desk drawer. At the downtown Minneapolis courthouse, agents move through a secured corridor with access badges obtained under judicial warrant. Amina Hassan, 41, the clerk who altered docket entries and accelerated dismissals, reaches for her keyboard. An agent pulls her chair back from the desk. Her workstation is imaged live. A deletion command is intercepted mid-process. A printed case list torn into 23 strips sits in her wastebasket. Agents reconstruct it on the floor with tape. At 6:41 a.m., Peter Lang, 52, the financial architect who built the offshore shell structures, is intercepted at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport holding a one-way ticket and a phone containing encryption keys to accounts in 3 countries. By 7:06 a.m., the operation is complete. 19 locations secured, 184 arrests initiated, 72 properties seized, 146 bank accounts frozen. Evidence cataloging begins immediately under fluorescent light. From secondary distribution nodes linked to the cash network, agents log 28.6 kilograms of fentanyl powder testing at 91% purity and 112,000 counterfeit oxycodone tablets laced with fentanyl. Street value estimates reach $19.4 million. Cash seizures total $17.8 million in 20s, 50s, and 100s stored in heat-sealed bricks, toolboxes, and a freezer with a false bottom. 34 firearms are documented. 9 carry illegal auto-sear switches. 6 are short-barreled rifles. Serial numbers are filed off on 11 of them. Ammunition exceeds 9,800 rounds. The digital forensics team cracks open the encrypted devices and finds the architecture that paper tried to bury. A laptop folder labeled Judicial contains PDFs of draft court orders and pre-written motions. A folder labeled Routes Q2 holds spreadsheets listing semi-trucks, storage unit numbers, and precise time windows. A file named Payments Master 2024.csv lists dates, dollar amounts, and initials. One recovered message reads, "Close it Tuesday. Same judge, same outcome. Split the wire." Another reads, "Move the trust to Hong Kong. Judge says heat is rising." The investigation maps distribution lanes running from Minneapolis to Fargo, then branching to Omaha and Milwaukee. Payment records show cash pickups timed precisely to real estate closings, the dirty money entering the system at the exact moment legitimate transactions provide cover. The total capital moved through this network over 6 years reaches $31 billion, enough to purchase every home in a mid-sized American city twice over, and still have billions remaining to finance the fentanyl that follows the money into neighborhoods, schools, and families that never see it coming. But the numbers do not capture the real cost. Megan Torres, 16, Minneapolis, honor roll student, part-time cashier. She hurt her ankle at track practice and complained about the pain for a week. A friend handed her a pill that looked like prescription oxycodone. She took it after dinner. She did not wake up. Her mother found her at 6:12 a.m. with the phone still charging beside the bed. Toxicology confirmed fentanyl. Investigators tied the pill batch to a distribution phone extracted from Khaled Nawar's network. Darnell Whitaker, 47, St. Paul, city bus driver. Chronic back pain from a collision on his route. He did not drink. He did not use recreational drugs. A coworker sold him 2 pills in a parking lot. He took one after a late shift. He collapsed in his kitchen before midnight. His wife heard the fall. Paramedics arrived fast. They could not reverse what was inside the tablet. Records later showed the seller had been protected by 2 dismissed cases routed through Judge Farah's courtroom. The man who should have kept that dealer behind bars had instead opened the door and waved him through. The betrayal hit communities that had staked everything on trust. Somali elders convened emergency meetings in mosques and community centers across the Twin Cities. They condemned the criminals publicly. They demanded transparency. They asked how a man they had celebrated could hollow out the institution he was sworn to serve. Legitimate trucking operators faced audits and contract suspensions because Prairie Sunrise Logistics had used the supply chain as camouflage. Trust eroded in the places where trust was the only currency people had. October 21st, Federal Courthouse, Minneapolis. The defendants enter in handcuffs and waist chains. Judge Farah wears a gray suit that hangs loose at the shoulders. His eyes stay forward. He does not look at the gallery. Prosecutors present their case with surgical precision. Escrow logs, offshore wire confirmations, GPS route deviations. The scanned Chambers memo with the word "paid" beside each dismissed case. Audio recordings of encrypted messages. A courtroom technician plays one excerpt through the speakers. Case dismissed, as promised. The defense attempts to reframe the prosecution as overreach, a misunderstanding of community business practices. The argument collapses against the weight of 6 years of documented transactions. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, racketeering, honest services fraud. Judge Ibrahim Farah receives 28 years in federal prison. Court-ordered forfeiture exceeds $2.9 billion in identifiable assets tied to his control and direction. The sentencing judge delivers a single, measured statement. You sold the credibility of this court for wire transfers and property deeds. Nadia Osman receives 16 years. Khaled Nawar receives 22 years. Peter Lang receives 25 years. Amina Hassan receives 11 years. Additional financial intermediaries receive sentences ranging from 3 to 14 years. All pensions tied to convicted officials are revoked. All professional licenses are permanently stripped. Federal agencies moved to close the institutional gaps the network exploited. Courthouse integrity audits are expanded nationwide. A new joint task force is established to monitor structured deposits linked to real estate closings. Minnesota regulators tighten escrow verification procedures and mandate enhanced beneficial ownership disclosure for all shell entity transactions. Title companies adopt fraud detection algorithms that flag rapid refinances and shell-to-shell transfers. Courthouse IT systems deploy access logging and anomaly detection for any docket modifications. But the investigation is not finished. One courier, Yusef Aden, 33, remains at large. Intelligence places him in Nairobi with access to dormant shell accounts containing residual funds. Analysts assess that at least 6 other networks operating across the American Midwest use similar judicial pressure points, similar real estate laundering loops, and similar exploitation of institutional trust. The next infiltration will not announce itself with violence or territory disputes. It will arrive as a signature on a motion, a wire transfer at 9:59 a.m., and a case that quietly disappears from a public docket within 48 hours. Power does not always need open violence. Sometimes it only needs silence, patience, and a position no one thinks to question. The most dangerous threat to a democracy is not the one standing outside the walls. It is the one already inside, wearing a suit, sitting behind a bench, holding a stamp and a seal, and waiting for the next file to cross the desk. $31 billion moved through American institutions while those institutions slept. Families buried children who swallowed poison disguised as medicine. Communities lost faith in the systems built to protect them. And a man who took an oath to uphold justice spent 6 years quietly dismantling it from the inside for profit. This story is fictional. It is a dramatization inspired by real patterns of institutional corruption and narcotics trafficking that threaten communities across this country. But the warning it carries is not fiction. If you watched this far, tap like so more people see what institutional infiltration looks like before it reaches their city. Comment your thoughts below. Share this with anyone who believes the system protects itself without accountability. It does not. It never has. The protection comes from people who refuse to look away.